welcome to the Weekenders. This is the show where we talk about the biggest football games of the weekend, and this might be like the best big football game weekend we've had in a while. Of course, it's Max here, joined by Lexi, Bobby, and for the first time in a long time, we got ML on the show, the captain of the Multiplicity Media ship here. Obviously, we know his agenda is very loud and clear. And ML, man, welcome to the Weekenders. What's up, man? How you doing?
Fellas, it's a pleasure to see everybody. Lexi's my dude, so she's a fella. Bobby, the hair is on point today, brother. Good to see you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, the hair is looking awesome today, Bobby. I was going to mention that earlier.
Just a good vibe, I guess. I don't know.
Thank you,
Good
Max, for
vibes.
holding it down as always as we bring our Weekenders to life.
Oh yeah. Well, listen, let's jump right into it because we do have a lot to talk about. A lot of big games and big things to discuss. And we did this conversation was actually supposed to happen for the Red River Rivalry week, but I believe Lexi wasn't with us for that show, so we reserved it for the game week. And we told each other in text that we're going to debate this here on the show, the best rivalry in sports. And we got two representatives from the game. We got a representative from Red River Rivalry, Oklahoma and Texas, and we got, me, of course. I got to hold down the North Carolina Duke position, holding it down by myself. So, yeah, let's discuss it. I mean, I don't know, I don't have questions or talking points for this, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say this is, for all the rivalries happening. This is a beautiful time because at least we can all say they're competitive. Michigan, Ohio State, two 11-0 teams that are about to clash this weekend. We know we're going to get into all that, and then but we already saw Oklahoma, Texas go down. That was a very competitive game, and then you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say the reason why North Carolina and Duke is the winner for best rivalry in sports is because it's always competitive. The teams are always good, and this year we expect that both Duke and North Carolina will be ranked when we see each other later on this year. So, I should say early next year, 2024. So yeah, that's we'll get the festivities started there with that debate. But anybody got any opening statements or reasons why their rivalry is the best in sports?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead because I'm sure Lexi and ML have a lot to say about the game, and I'll go ahead and put out a bit of a small concession to the Big Blue contingent here. I kind of think the game is a better rivalry as a whole, but OU Texas Red River is a better rivalry game, if that makes sense. Everything around that weekend, everything around that game it goes beyond sports. Spectacular, from the Friday night before in Dallas, the setting, of the State Fair of Texas, right there in the middle, split half and half, in the middle, just of a crazy experience. Both sides insanely intense. The passion, the intensity, all of that goes into the game itself is special, unique, one of one. The reason why I think the game might be a better rivalry is the day-to-day operations of it. I feel like OU and Texas, we have that hate. We have it throughout the season, but maybe just genuinely, it doesn't seem like it burns the full 365 like it does with Ohio State and Michigan. So I'll concede that point. I think that might be a fair argument. I think it's close, but if we're talking about the game itself, if we're talking about the football game, the ball game, right there, it's OU Texas by a country mile, easy. That environment is like nothing else you can find in sports at all, any sport.
I will say it's a shame that we got robbed of a part two in the Big 12 championship.
Not yet. Hey, not yet.
Oh,
Still
okay.
possible.
Spoke too soon.
It's a long shot, but it's still possible. We need we need our Mormon friends, BYU, to take out Oklahoma State this weekend, which, knowing how they operate, you never know. The poke choke, the phrase poke choke exists for a reason.
All right, who wants to? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go. No one has ever watched a game more than the game. Last year, it peaked at 20 million at one point, 17 million, which blows Auburn Alabama Iron Bowl, like back in 13 or whatever. They had like 13 million, I think. This goes back data way before football. This hatred is to the battle of who got Toledo. You were literally born and raised to hate each other, and it's not even just football. Like, you go into the state. I try to think about it. Like, I think about the Red River rivalry, and I think if Michigan and Ohio State fans did that, it would be scary. Like, you can't go to a neutral zone with both of these fan bases. We just hate each other. They're just not like, there's not a loving bone in our body towards each other. It's just weird to say, but like that passion alone, and then not even that, the top undefeated matchup since 2000, Michigan and Ohio State, the biggest games, all three of them in these last 3 years have topped everything since 2000. And I mean, the Red River rivalry is great, but like I can't give it the edge, like, that you're saying, because it's in a neutral place. Go to one another's places and get that like scariness. Like, it's scary to go into the toilet bowl in Ohio. It's scary. Like, I don't do it. I don't go to that game. But like, also, you need to play during hate week. Like, save it for like when it matters most. I wish it would. Like, I just can't say, like, I wish I could play Ohio State before they're a well-oiled, fine-tuned machine. And I've said it every year that I wish that was possible. But like, you just wait to the end of the season because both teams are in their prime, like the peak prime.
I see your point on that. However, I think there's something so special and so cool about having that midway point of like, you have your first half before Texas, and you have your second half after Texas. And it's kind of like this gut check of like, where are you at as a team, as a program? You like build up to this point, and then from there you just keep going. And I think that's pretty cool. I kind of get where you're coming from a environment of, you don't have that fear. I've done the away thing before. It's great. Not for Texas, of course, but there's something about both sides being so into it that it like affects the game. You are strategically making decisions because if you're on the Texas side, because it's like half and half. You are surrounded. It's like a Texas home game if you're in that end, and it's like an OU home game in the other. So you're not dealing with a tiny, noisy contingent. You're dealing with all of them, 45,000 of them and 45,000 of us. And there's something about the way that goes back and forth that it just makes your heart sink. It's pretty. I think the neutral site adds to it, makes it more special. It's not like Florida, Georgia. It's not like any other neutral site because it's just the Cotton Bowl's different. You have to get there to understand it. It is a crappy stadium, bare bones, one of the worst places. Like the toilets don't even work on the bottom floor. I'm pretty sure, but it's special. It's just it's iconic.
It's on my bucket list for sure. I need
Oh,
to get there and experience
if you get
it.
there, you'll understand.
We need some fried Oreos, some fried.
Yeah,
sweet
give me an
peas.
elephant ear, a ride, a little
Yeah.
carnival rides.
Yeah, side of diabetes, we good. It's no problem.
Oh,
Maxwell, I'm gonna break it down like this. I've been thinking about this for quite some time. The best atmosphere by far has to be the Red River rivalry in terms of the shootout. Being in a neutral spot, living in St. Louis, like seeing Mizzou, Illinois basketball games where they're not even on the left, like they want to be what Oklahoma and Texas are, actual national champions, conference champions, but then the border states, etc. Like that atmosphere is very, very hard to duplicate. The issue, in my opinion, is that it's not the last game of the year, which the build up for Michigan, Ohio State, the game, once again, it's called the game for a reason. And
The granddaddy of them all.
Exactly. Shout out to Keith Jackson, the best ever has done it. So Maxwell, that's where I would say best experience, clearly the state fair, the game itself, the actual competition on the field. And yes, Michigan did have our Rich Rod years, our post Lloyd Carr years. And I do have a graphic for you about Ryan Day being on third base, because that's where he is and where he started and where he still is, because he can't go get across home. You know what I'm saying? 11, 12 wins, it don't matter anymore. But that's, as of late, you can't say that there's any better game in sports right now. It's better than Boston, New York, and anything. Red Sox, Yankees. North Carolina, Duke had the probably most special moment. And maybe Michigan, Ohio State is heading there. Maybe not this year, but maybe after there's the Field of 12 happens. But Duke, North Carolina in a Final Four is the best thing you could ever have, except with the
Yeah.
other
Oh,
being a national
basketball.
championship. That's incredible.
UNC and Carolina, UNC and Duke for sure
It's
got that.
incredible.
Like,
But college
no
football, it's
question.
better than Iron Bowl. I'm sorry, I don't care what Auburn, Alabama people talk about. And especially now that James Joseph Harbaugh is the coach. I don't know for how many more days, but he's my coach right now, and that's where I'm rolling.
Yeah, I feel like to that point about like the difference in basketball and football, and I'll just say this: like, there's no right answer.
Four
We're kind of
times
just-
they played, Max. Four
Yeah.
times that year. That's incredible
Yeah.
to have Duke Carolina 4 times a year and culminate with Jim Nance and Raftery and Grant Hill of all things. He goes,
Yeah.
oh my God, man, it was just incredible.
Yeah, I mean I think that's the good and the bad part of it though, is because Michigan, Ohio State, you only get one time. Texas OU we'll see, about this year, but usually you only get that one time. It's like in football as a sport, that's why it's so popular. Like the games just matter more because there are less games. With basketball, UNC Duke they play twice, like, and then they go there. They may meet up in the ACC tournament, but even if they don't, you're just you have the bragging rights of that year, and then you move on to the tournament, and then whatever happens from there. So I think like it's the football rivalries, and especially the game and Red River, like those are more sacred because of the few and far between times that they play. But I will say my one like the one thing you can hang your hat on with UNC Duke is that it's never been lopsided. UNC may have a down year, Duke may have a down year, but like they're right back, to being relevant, within a year or a couple of years. There's never been like a decade or 15 years where like one team wasn't good and the other team was or whatever. Like they've always been competitive, and you can't always say the same about Red River and the game, and even some other rivalries in sports like Celtics Lakers or Iron Bowl or whatever. So that's the one thing that is unique and special about UNC Duke. But like I said, fun debate. Happy that we all can stake claim to great rivalries, and yeah, that's it is what it is. And without further ado, let's talk about the game. Let's get into it right now because this is what we're all here for. And that game, of course, is at noon. Lexi's been talking about it all year. That's never going to be like a late game, but happy that it's early. Michigan is favored by 3.5. The over under is 46.5. This is the first thing I want to address. The elephant in the room. We've known for 3 weeks that Harbaugh is not going to be on the sideline of this game. So what I am personally curious about the most is his absence in terms of not being able to make the critical decisions on the field, during the times as they happen. You can prepare. I get the preparation. I get all that. I get, he's going to have the team ready. I get, he's been able to make it work for these last 2 games with Penn State and Maryland. But we all know this is different. So him not being there for this game to make some of those critical decisions, how is that going to impact the game? Let's start there.
All right, I'll start. So, I'm not going to lie and say that it's not going to affect the game. I think that it's going to be like a huge blow to not have Jim on the sidelines. However, if this was a real suspension, where like if he wasn't prepping these guys all week long, if he wasn't riding, on the bus to the game with them, if he wasn't able to give that pregame speech and then they go off into the big house, I'd probably be more worried. But he's still going to prep them all week. And, Sharon has stepped into this role and done a damn good job. Especially last minute against Penn State. We talked about that, how it just he fought through it and got through it and just ran the ball down the throat. We didn't have to do a lot, but there's going to have to be like kind of like you pull all the bags out of your trick for this game. And both teams have not shown a lot in these last few weeks. And I know that's purposely, because we just prepare for each other. So I think that it's going to be maybe a tad bit harder just for, to make sure everything's like straight. But like these guys are ready. They've had this thrown at them for like over a month now. I think that they're just focused and they want to win for Jim. So I think that kind of gives a little bit of an edge where they're like fighting for their coach. They want to win for their coach. You want to tell your dad when he gets home, like, hey, I won the game for you, or something. But it's like, it's just along those lines where I think it might give a little bit more of an edge, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be sad that he won't be on the sidelines, but you just got to deal with it. Great teams will find a way to win.
Bobby, yeah.
Yeah, I'll go on this one.
I'm letting somebody go in the middle so I can bring it all the way home, Maxwell. I'm focused.
You're good.
I saw who Bobby predicted, so therefore I'm gonna let folks. I read the docs. I just was waiting for him. I can't believe he picked the red and white team because he don't even like Arsenal. Go ahead, Bobby.
Well, look, yeah. So in the doc, I did pick Ohio State, but it's a coin flip to me. I feel like Ohio State has been dealing with less drama. They've been able to focus on things outside of what's going on. And I think it's a coin flip. I think I would probably go Ohio State +4 if I'm making like a gambling type of pick. But it's hard to deny that Michigan the past couple of years has had a physical advantage. They've had a mental advantage, and they essentially have Ryan Day in a mental chokehold right now. And I just have a feeling about this Ohio State team because it feels like almost too obvious that Michigan's going to win this game. And I feel like sometimes when it feels that plainly obvious, but it's that close, the game's going to zig. Ultimately, I think Michigan, recently just hasn't quite hasn't been themselves recently. I think losing Harbaugh on the sidelines is a big loss there, just in terms of dictating the game. And overall, I just think the Bucks just have a little bit more in them. So I'm going to go Ohio. I feel comfortable about Ohio State +4. I feel less comfortable about who's going to win the game straight up. I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be close. It's going to be classic, without a doubt.
Very nervous about Sharon Moore with this particular, once again, the game. Just because of he's also calling plays and the offensive line has to have its best game. And they are not as good as the offensive line from last year or 2 years ago. And I'll tell you why. And we've been exposed in terms of 2 weeks ago. I love Mr. Barnett. Carson Barnhart is a great player. Brother, he was a turnstile against Penn State of where we literally went. JJ didn't have a bad game against Penn State. I want to make sure that's out there. I'm pretty sure it was 7 for 8, 60 yards. We didn't throw the ball because we couldn't protect him, number one, after his injury. And two, we didn't need to because we're going against James fake Goat Franklin. He's still living off of one win in 2016. We didn't need to pass the ball with the person who was number 3 in the Heisman Trophy list because he cares about wins. He has one loss as a starter, one, and it was against TCU. And it was unfortunately one of the top 3 worst games he's had. Coach Moore just went to, let me just trust what I know. And unfortunately, like when your back is against the wall, when everything just matters to get to 12-0, just trust what you know. I have Blake Corum, I have Donovan Edwards, and I have a top 7 offensive line unit in the country. That's good enough to win in Happy Valley because your defense is good enough. Little Tua, he was awesome. And then he's awesome in terms of his highs, and his lows are terrible. We were able to best that. I actually think Kyle McCord's the worst of the 3 quarterbacks we're going to face.
Oh, yeah.
By far in the last 3 weeks. The issue is that it's going to be the best D-line we faced, probably the best running back core, and that's with all due respect to them 2 running backs in Penn State. But Travion Henderson and Blake Corum are finally healthy for the game. They both have not been present. It's going to come down to comfort level in terms of the environment. And once again, this senior class literally has gelled. There's 3 graduate dudes, people that have played 6 years here. Those are the difference. I'm telling you, whoever wins the running battle is what is the last 17 years. Whoever wins the running battle wins the game. And I'm gonna just trust in number 2 and Coach Moore. But I am worried, Bobby. I ain't gonna lie. I'm super concerned. If James was here, we winning by 2. James was here, we winning by 2 possessions, man. I'm trying. It's a 2-score game, easy. If James Joseph was here, we are prepared to beat them. Forget the science, forget all the drama. This team is ready to win a national championship. I am concerned because we don't have one of the best leaders in school history and one of the best leaders in coaching history for all levels of football.
Where I think about like not having Harbaugh is like you're worried about, adjustments. You're worried about like those calls in crunch time that are crucial to, closing out a game. What I think you have the benefit of is 2 things you mentioned, ML, is one, the experience level of a lot of guys on the team, including the quarterback, and 2, you just came off a close game against Maryland last week, and that was in Maryland. So, okay, you know that the guy that you have who's going to be, um, responsible for those late game decisions just showed that he was able to manage the game properly in that setting. Also, when it came down to the Penn State game, you mentioned too, like, all right, the decision had to be made that we're just going to run the ball because, like you said, the protection wasn't there or what have you. So now you've got back-to-back examples of, okay, we have a guy that knows how to again adjust and to manage a late close game, and then I think the third thing, I think it literally just escaped me, but I think those factors would make me more comfortable in the fact that Harbaugh is not on the sideline because you've shown in the last 2 weeks in 2 different types of games, 2 different scenarios that you know they that coaching staff without Harbaugh is going to be able to make the correct decisions at the end of games and make adjustments. The only hump that you have to get over in this situation is this is a much more talented team, and the other coach on the other side is, phenomenal. Ryan Day, he's obviously better than I don't even know who Maryland's head coach is. Excuse me, but he's better than him, and better than Franklin. And the thought that I had that I just remembered that I had forgotten was you're in a comfortable environment. You're at home. If this was in Columbus, you got a whole different other set of problems because, again, you're going into a tougher environment, having to, make decisions and adjustments and all that. But now at home, you're comfortable. You got experienced players and experienced coaching staff. You've proven in the last couple of weeks that you can, again, make adjustments and make decisions at the end of the game when things are close or when things are off schedule. I think it'll be fine, and that's why we're jumping the gun here with the predictions. That's why I lean Michigan, but that's my thoughts on like if anybody's like, okay, what's the effect of Harbaugh not being there? Well, I think you've shown in the last 2 weeks that it'll be okay. You're just dealing with a more talented team, and you have to take that into consideration.
I want to buy the half point, Max. I'm gonna buy the half point. That's what I would say. I would buy the half point if we're here giving betting advice. Because shout out to some of y'all who've done really well, who've done really well in the locks of the week. I've been keeping score and seeing who's winning and who's not. But I would tell people, please buy the half point this weekend. Take the 3. If we win if we win on the game winner, that's another thing I'm nervous about.
Yeah.
Jake Moody's one of the best kickers that we've ever had. So therefore it's okay. All right, cool. 55 yards. All right, send him out there. We don't have that this weekend. Even though the wind is projected down, your boy been on the 10-day plan every day. I need to see the weather for 10 days. As soon as I know.
If it comes down to a game winner, I'm sick.
Religiously.
I'm going to be like.
We're not done. We got some more here. Okay, the other thing that I think is the big key about this game is like the defenses. These are 2 awesome defenses, and we know that. That's it's gonna. I feel like it could be lean more like an old school, like lower scoring game. 46.5 is an interesting over under. But which defense has a tougher assignment? ML kind of mentioned the running backs on both sides. We know Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably the best like player in the entire game for both sides. We talked about the quarterbacks a little bit, but what do you guys think? Which defense is going to have more to think about for this game?
I think it's got to be Michigan in a way. Ohio State, they haven't been consistent at scoring a bunch, but we know they have their weapons. We know they're going to unleash the entire playbook. And I just think the Buckeyes are a little bit more dynamic on offense. Michigan's more equipped to stop them. I think they have a solid defense, of course, but I think it's going to be a bit of a tricky task overall, slowing down the Buckeyes. That's just my thoughts on it.
I mean, I think it's going to come down to, how Will Johnson does with Marvin Harrison Jr., which I think could be locked up city, if we're being honest. And then just relying on Henderson. I mean, we got some of the best, we don't let nobody run all over us, unless you're real good. So I guess we'll just see what happens. But I think Ohio State's defense is going to have a hard time because they're going to be facing our offensive line too. And when it becomes to a game in the trenches, you give me Michigan every single time. I mean, we're tougher. I think we're tougher. We're stronger. So I just think that that's going to be a bigger struggle for them than it would for our front seven.
We have a lot more to think about because we're going against the best player in college, the best skill player in college football, non-quarterback. I think it's very fair to say. Marvin Harrison Jr. will be a top 2-3 pick after he leaves this year, and will be invited to New York because it goes to the most outstanding player in college football, and I think he's worthy of that with Jaden Daniels. And you know what? I'm gonna be back to talk to you about another guy who's number one. We're not gonna talk about that, Max. So I've been trying to tell you for 18 months about your boy in Oregon. But let's move on past that. I am nervous because of Will. Will showed a little chink in the armor this past weekend. That 30-yard fade, Maryland. That's the first time I've seen anybody catch a ball on him in 2 years. And he's finally getting 100% healthy. I think it's because we didn't do enough we are going to have to keep a safety over the top there. And
we did last year. I mean,
yeah,
Mike did a great job.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to our secondary is fantastic, honestly. And Mikey is going to take away whatever's going on in the slot. Mikey's Mikey's one of our three most important players. But we have more to think about because Ryan Day is very used to this. He's used to calling plays in a rivalry game. He's used to getting a quarterback ready. He's used to thinking about what are the ways for us to win in this particular game. Now, he has come up short the last two, but that's because we've been the tougher team. We've been the better team. We've had better leadership. And you know what? We have a tougher team. We have a better team. And we have the better leadership again. That's why it's going to be 3 in a row. Take the 3 points.
Okay. All right. So I want to hear from either Lexi or ML. Michigan, like insider, almost like insider trading information. How does Ohio State beat Michigan? What are the keys to victory for Ohio State? What do they need to do?
Make us turn over the ball. That's really going to be the only way that they're going to beat us, in my opinion. So, they force turnovers. They got a chance to run away with this. But yeah, besides that, it's going to be a pretty crazy game.
Yeah. Anything to add? Sorry, I don't know I was trying to look up the turnover differential for both teams. It looks like, Michigan is plus 12 in turnover differential, which is third in the sport, and Ohio State is plus 1. So yeah, I think Michigan is actually really good at protecting the ball and taking it away. Ohio State's going to have to not they're gonna have to find a way to win the turnover battle for sure. I think that's a great note, Lexi. All right,
I've seen
yeah, go ahead.
Bobby's very used to this guy who I think is one of the most important people on the day, and that's Jim Knowles, former defense coordinator at Oklahoma State now in his second year as defensive coordinator for Ohio State. Last year they didn't have enough guys who could tackle, so we had big plays all over the field. Ohio State has literally tailored their defense, knowing that the Big Ten doesn't have any dynamic quarterbacks outside of obviously Little Tua. And Little Tua, if just want to make sure people remember this, Little Tua went into horseshoe up 10-0, and their coach decided to go for it or not go for it on 4th and 1 when they could have actually gone up either 2 touchdowns or potentially 3 scores. So Coach Loxley wasn't ready for that moment. A dynamic quarterback can beat Ohio State. JJ is a dynamic quarterback, but their only way of beating us is if we beat ourselves. That doesn't mean to sound cocky. I'm just telling you, after watching them, that's what it is. We haven't lost a conference game since Halloween of 21. We don't beat ourselves.
Ohio State beat Notre Dame because Notre Dame beat themselves. Like this is like it we've seen it already. Like literally, like Notre Dame was the better team for 59 minutes, and the end of the game they just wet the bed. So I couldn't agree more. That's a great point.
I mean, big games.
Jim Knowles scares me though now this year because they don't give up big plays. So if we're cool with grinding it, which I think Coach Moore is, and once again, man, we have number 2 healthy finally, man. I'm trying to. Even though Hassan Haskins he and Aiden they literally changed the culture of the team, and then it's carried on, and that's why I think that's why I think we're going to be fine on Saturday.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we know what Lexi and ML think, how they think the game's going to go. I'm gonna tell you guys. Well, no, Bobby. I'll go and then I'll let Bobby and then let you guys. I got Michigan in this game. I think that the lack of talent at quarterback for Ohio State, as ML said earlier, this is the worst Ohio State quarterback, or even not even that, but like not even the worst Ohio State quarterback in a couple of years, maybe a few years, like going way back before Haskins, but. The worst quarterback they've seen since like Rutgers. So I think like they've got talent around him. Kyle McCord's gonna have to try to get the ball. And of course, his playmakers, Harrison, the running backs. Really Ohio State's best bet might be to take the ball out of McCord's hands as much as possible. But I think the quarterback talent is lacking, and we saw them this game last year, even with C.J. Stroud. We know how awesome he is. Like Michigan was still able to get pressure on him, make him uncomfortable. Rattle him, and I think this is going to be more of the same. I just don't think. I think Michigan knows who they are. They're comfortable. They know what they need to do. They're going to be well prepared. They're going to be focused. They're going to play hard. Because they have this. They have all the inspiration they need from what's been going on, and I just think they're a more talented team on both sides of the ball. But I just can't. I just can't imagine them not being able to force McCord and the offense to make mistakes, neutralize Marvin Harrison Jr. and make more plays. I think it's really that simple for me, and that's why I'm taking Michigan minus the 3.5, whichever way you want to go. I just feel like this is like too big of a moment, and Ryan Day still hasn't figured out how to beat this team. So I don't think it starts today or Saturday. Sorry.
I wish it was today.
But yeah, Bobby, go ahead. Or Lexi,
I just think that Ohio State, I don't know why. I'm just getting a feeling that with everything around the program right now, this is Ryan Day's chance to figure it out. It feels like Michigan, even though they are dynamic, even though they are at this level, They haven't run into a team quite like Ohio State overall yet. And I don't know. Look, and I'm going to say this right here. If Ryan Day doesn't figure out against Michigan with this backdrop right now, he's never going to. And this game will be won and lost, in my opinion, on Ryan Day and his coaching ability. If they can find a way to come up with a game plan with all of the weapons they have offensively and figure it out with Marvin Harrison Jr., I could see a pathway for victory for him here. I'm trending Ohio State just because it feels like that moment where something flips, or just I don't know. I'm feeling the vibe. I'm feeling the vibe that the Buckeyes are going to figure this one out, because frankly, I don't know what they'll do if they lose 3 straight to Michigan. They might just burn like half of this. Like they might burn Columbus to the ground, honestly. And
they're gonna
I don't
leave
know.
Day in Ann Arbor for sure.
I just in a tight, close game, who am I trusting to make the right call? I kind of think I'm going with Day, just right now. I could be totally wrong, but we'll see. It's a great game, impossible to call. I would never bet this one, but whew, what a ball game.
Lexi, it's on you. Go ahead.
Oh no, so I think it's just gonna be another year where, like I said, we win it in the trenches. We win the running game. I think Dono is gonna have a really big game again. And then having Blake fully healthy for the first time in this rivalry is making me really excited, because we beat them 45-23 last year without Blake. And they had a way better quarterback. So I can't sit here and say that I can ever see them losing this game, but it's gonna be famous last words. But I'm pretty confident.
You got it. Go ahead.
We'll see you in Indy. Nothing more to say. I've said enough. We'll see you in Indy. We'll see you in Indy.
All right. Love it. All right. Cool. All right. Well, that's the game, folks. Again, Michigan is 3.5 favorites. ML is saying he'll take the half point. Michigan -3. Over under is 46.5. Definitely going to be locked in for that one. Should be a really good game. All right. The next one, this week, a lot of rivalry games, but to be honest, if you look at the slate, like there's just not a lot of like great games this week. This is just what it is. But this one is one that is impactful if we're talking about the college football playoff race in the top 4. Now, Florida State, as you all will know, already lost Jordan Travis for the rest of the season. Super unfortunate injury. Like, was super sad to see him go out like that. Sort of reminded you of last year how Hendon Hooker got injured like right towards the end of the season. His last year in college, kind of hard to see that when they're having such a great season. But Florida State is going to go into the swamp for their last regular season game. They already have locked in their spot in the ACC championship. That doesn't change, but this is an upset watch game because Florida, they're not a good team this year, but they are a different team in the swamp than they are on the road. They upset Utah earlier this year in Florida, and now they face an FSU team that's just trying to get into the college football playoff after losing their leader and their quarterback. Now, let's just talk about the elephant in the room, the impact if they lose this game, right? So if they lose this game, obviously that means they are going into the ACC championship against Louisville as a one-loss team already. Louisville is also a one-loss team, and so the winner of that game is a one-loss conference champion. And to me, like, that should be considered as much as, let's say, a one-loss, Alabama SEC championship, if that were to be the case, or a one-loss Texas Big 12 championship, if that were to be the case. But some people are saying if Florida State loses in or before the ACC championship, they should be out. That's not my take, but what do you guys think? If FSU doesn't make it past this game, I mean to the if FSU is not an undefeated ACC championship, do you think they deserve to be in the playoff?
I mean,
Anybody?
honestly, this is a bad year to have one loss because if you think about Florida State, the ACC, we were really high on it kind of entering the season, pretty low on it now. And Florida State has messed around with too many teams, I feel like, to have a great resume. Obviously, the Boston College game was a tough look. Escaping Clemson doesn't look like it used to as well. Tough go against Miami, not a great Miami team at home. And then, I mean, they were messing around in North Alabama even before Travis got hurt. So to me, and the committee, I know they don't take it into consideration, but Florida State without Jordan Travis in general is not the same Florida State team. I can't tell you genuinely that that's a top 4 team in college football without Travis. We haven't seen it yet, but I just know. I just know that they can't put it all together. They've barely been able to put it together with him. I don't think they can put it together without him. So to me, I personally have a couple teams ahead of them. Obviously Washington's undefeated. That's going to be a tough one. There's a world where it stays chalk and there are a bunch of undefeateds in front. I think it's a pretty tough position to be in, especially when you consider the idea of a one-loss Alabama. Because I would take a one-loss Georgia over a one-loss Florida State, especially if it's to Alabama in the conference championship. You're just in a really tough spot, and frankly, given and losing to a Florida who's trying to get bowl eligible would be atrocious for that matter. So to me, I just think their resume doesn't make the cut when stacking up against some of these other one-loss teams.
Quick correction: I said that Florida beat Utah at home. That was last year. I was thinking about last year. They lost to Utah in Utah this year, but they did beat Tennessee in the Swamp this year, which was a good win, probably their best win of the year. But yeah, I just want to correct that. All right, ML or Lexi, go ahead, weigh in on this.
Yeah, so I think that especially given that Jordan Travis is out, if they drop this game, I know it's kind of like messing with thing, but the committee will just be like, it's the quarterback who did it all isn't even there, and like Bobby said, there's just a lot of other one-loss teams I for sure would put in. Even if Georgia doesn't win the championship, lose to Alabama, I'd put them in. Oregon or like Washington, Michigan, even like you say, we beat Ohio State. The one loss Ohio State team with their one loss to Michigan, I would even choose to go over Florida State in my opinion. But I just think it's a tough position to be put in this year. To be that and lose like your star quarterback that really got you through the whole season. But
Florida State is going to be ranked number 5 in about 45 or less than 35 minutes. And they should be. And that's because Washington will go up to 4. But that doesn't matter. Florida State, your question's valid, Max, but they know what they have to do. They can't lose.
Yeah.
They can't lose. And Clemson used to be in this situation, but just because of the strength of the ACC is unfortunately not as strong as the SEC, the Pac-12, and then what the Big Ten has in terms of their top 3. And they can talk to obviously Ohio State's non-conference win over Notre Dame. That's better than any win that Florida State has currently right now. And that's all due respect to LSU. But LSU has no defense. LSU easily could have lost to Florida a couple. It doesn't matter who they could have lost to. And that was a neutral site game. And obviously, honest to goodness, Orlando is basically Florida State's second home. I don't see enough out of them. They cannot afford to lose. And Dabo used to go through this all the time. That's why I feel they know they can't lose. I don't think Alabama is that much better than them. It's just that this is what happens in the media cycle from November to now. They are going to set it up, and ESPN is amazing at this. They will set it up is that if Alabama beats Georgia, it's still okay. Georgia's been the best team for the last 2 years, so that SEC will automatically get two in. For Michigan, Ohio State, I don't think Michigan's win against Penn State's going to be enough. If they were to lose to Ohio State, if JJ just happens to get hurt during the game, it's the only way we lose. But that's what it is. Florida State has no choice.
Yeah, and I just want to also mention, like from a Louisville perspective too, like just looking over their schedule. Let's say like they're a one-loss ACC champion, in this scenario. Like I feel like they're, you know, they got wins over Notre Dame and Duke whenever they were ranked, but like in Miami as well as a decent win. But like I just don't think like Louisville nor Florida State's resume, like you guys said, is going to do it for compared up against like a one loss, Bama, Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, etc. So definitely, that's why this is such an impactful game because Florida State undefeated should definitely be in, like no questions asked, even without Jordan Travis. But one loss, we're having a completely different conversation about what the CFP looks like. So yeah, they're going into this game with the backup Tate Rodemaker, and came into the game, scored 58 unanswered points against FCS team, but like looked like he was able to come in and make some plays. We'll see how he's going to perform in this environment. That is going to be a completely different animal going into the swamp. Again, Florida, we know it isn't a great team, but they're something about playing, in Gainesville, like it's just different. Yeah, the thing is about the Tate though, he is a junior, so he's got some experience under his belt. He has probably seen a lot. I'm not like saying that this is going to be like completely overwhelming situation for him, but it's interesting. I mean, you know, 6'4", 196, big quarterback. Brought them out of the 13-0 hole they were in last week. Probably could make some things happen. In this game, you still got the receivers, you still got the defense, the running backs. Like, ideally you should be okay. But Jordan Travis brings a different dynamic to the game with his mobility, his experience, and everything that he brings to the table. So we'll see how that impacts the game against Florida, and then again in the ACC championship whenever that comes up. But in terms of picking this game, ML is on an island with his pick of Florida State. You're confident that they're going to win this game anyway. Why do you think they got it?
I am not impressed with Florida's defense at all this year, and it's just such a weird year because Billy Napier absolutely is in the hot seat if he loses this game, because you got to be reinforced with Oklahoma and Texas joining the SEC next year. Florida goes down; they're not nearly as good as both those programs. Both programs have better coaches, have better recruiting classes, have better quarterbacks set up for you. And Graham Mertz, no offense, I've seen Graham Mertz. He ain't it. I will be shocked. Now, Maxwell, you mentioned the win over Tennessee. Brother, that's because Joe Milton's at quarterback for Rocky Top. And shout out to Joe. Rocket of an arm, brother. He's going to be fantastic in the with shirts and shorts on. You know what I'm saying? Going to be great. Pause. But brother, the Wonderlick and his awareness and his ability to go left to right reading, and we ain't talking Arabic, right to left, brother. I am talking like this man cannot see progressions, and it's been not very good. And Florida lost to Arkansas at the crib. This is the worst Woo Pig Suey team I have seen. Shout out to Sam Pittman and his, his size E bras is 46 E's. Sam Pittman's crazy, man. That's just call it what it is. See what I'm not impressed by Florida at all this year. And 4th and 19. How many teams gonna give up 4th and 19s and 4th and 17s with the game on the line this year? Looking at you, Notre Dame. Looking at you, Notre Dame. Looking at you, Florida. Brady Cook to Luther Burden this past weekend. Florida should have won that game at the zoo. And then the zoo came. They standing on business. Shout out to Coach Drink. Yeah, Florida State has enough at the quarterback. He's not as good as Jordan Travis, but man, the best player in the game is going to be Keon Coleman. Just throw it up to him. They'll figure it out. And they have the best defensive player as well in Verse. So they know what's at stake.
Yeah, this has been a tough year for Florida. They were in a dogfight at home to UNC Charlotte. That game was a lot closer than the final score was, but trust me, I know how bad UNC Charlotte is. So even like that is like evidence of how bad this Florida team is.
Shout out there. Shout out to our guy there.
No Biff Poggi disrespect.
Yeah. Cut off. You know what I'm saying? Cut off arms. Bobby, can you imagine? I got 2 questions for you, actually, Bobby. Are y'all adopting that game before the last game of the year schedule where y'all get to like play like Northern Oklahoma or like Central Arkansas? So you can get another win. SEC's crazy, dog.
I believe the Maine Black Bears are coming to Norman. They haven't said when, but my guess is it's in November. So I don't know. That's not my style. I don't love it. I see. Here's the thing. There's a perfectly good team in Stillwater, Oklahoma that would be great in that position, but I think they're ducking the smoke. So,
wait, hold on. You think Gundy's ducking y'all?
I mean, we're not ducking them. No,
are you? You're not?
No. It's OSU who doesn't want to play OU at all. You know, they're all upset because we left, and they're kind of done. I mean, look, I wouldn't blame them. Mike Gundy is, I think, 4-15 against OU. He's atrocious, and I mean, I'd want to avoid that loss too. I don't blame him. So, yeah, no, I kind of think it's on the Oklahoma State end. OU, I don't think they would have any issue playing Oklahoma State, honestly. Obviously, the SEC schedule is pretty packed, but I don't think that's a problem for OU.
Is that you had another question?
No.
Okay.
No, he answered it. He answered that part. It was a 2-parter. I was wondering who they're going to play, and then
yeah.
Okay.
Our schedule got completely screwed up with the SEC deal because we lost a home and home to Tennessee, lost a home and home to Georgia. We still got our Michigan one on the books though, not running away from the Wolverines. So see y'all in 25.
All right. Well, with that said, all right. So
wait.
Yeah,
I'm there, Bobby. I'm in there.
It's gonna be fun.
Where's that?
Hey, y'all got Texas next year too, right? Sorry, I know we have to hurry.
You're good. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, next year's Texas.
We're good. That'll be a fun one for sure. That'll be a fun one for sure. Okay, yeah. So for this game, Bobby, me, and Lexi are all in one accord on having Florida. Me personally, I just think I like ML almost made me flip my pick because I think Florida is bad and FSU is just much more talented. They do have an experienced backup quarterback, but I think weird things happen in the swamp, and this is going to be one of those games where Florida is just playing upset. They got a bowl game to play for. They're want to upset this team like nobody's business. So I'm taking the swamp factor to take over and for Florida State too, who has, as Bobby mentioned, has had some close calls. This might be the one. This might be the game.
For the vibes, I want Florida State to lose because we just have not. Have you noticed since the rankings have come out? There's been no chaos.
No,
at all. No one's
for the
losing.
plot.
So, but for the vibes, it'll be fantastic. Like, ain't no way Auburn's beating Alabama. Auburn, who they lose to? New Mexico State, Bobby. Is that right?
Oh, they got whooped
by 20.
Yeah, old Jerry Kill down there. 38.
Hugh Freeze didn't watch his blind side. Lost by 20.
Jeez. And they'll still find a way to keep it close against Alabama. Just watch.
Maxwell, I think I've convinced you.
Somehow.
I think you don't want to pick Florida. Ain't no way you want to
I
ride on Billy Napier to make a bowl.
you know what? I'm
Sunbelt Billy.
always you see the shirt I got on, ML. Like I'm always happy to root against Florida State. Like
Say less.
I'm always happy to pick against Florida State. Trust me. I'm not trying to see Florida State. I mean, especially without Jordan Travis. Like yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good on them. All right,
Oh
to the
shit.
NFL. We just saw the Eagles beat the Chiefs last night and become the best team in the NFL, or are they the best team in the NFL with the win over the Chiefs? They host the Bills, 6-5, coming in to the link. The Bills need this win to stay in the top of the AFC East kind of race battle, whatever you want to call it. Eagles by 3.5, 48.5 is the spread. We all got the Eagles in this game, um, but the question I guess we can debate for a couple of minutes is: are the Eagles officially the best team in the NFL right now? They beat the
Yeah,
champs.
I'd for sure say that. I mean, on both sides of the ball, I just think they're very dominant. I'm very thankful that the only time we see them is later on in the
Playoffs.
playoffs. But they're a good team. They're a scary team, and when Jalen's on, it's
Yeah.
like, and even when he's off, they find a way to win these games. So I'd say that they're the number one, clear cut right now.
I would agree with that. I think they're just right now too dynamic. Defense is great. Offense is great. I feel like Kansas City, if their wide receivers can just catch the damn ball, they'll be fine. But you know, most drops in the
So
league,
bad.
awful, awful. Even Travis Kelce has been unreliable. So, um, yeah. But if they figure that out, they'll be fine because their defense is excellent now. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
ML, ML, you're on mute, buddy.
You're muted.
I am changing my pick. I had the Chiefs, but I just got convinced about the Eagles, and specifically their defensive line. I think the Chiefs have been excellent on defense as well. The issue comes down to I've seen the Eagles do it to turn a game, either at home against Dallas and get to see them last night. Yeah, you've convinced me. I'm back on the Eagles. I'm
Okay,
going 1A, 1B.
that's fair too. I mean it was a close game, so I think 1A 1B is like perfectly fair. Real quick, for the Bills again, they're trying to stay at the top of the AFC East. The Dolphins are 7-3. The Bills are 6-5. If they lose this game, obviously this is not going to be a very. It's going to be a tougher climb to get up there to catch up with the Dolphins, who are going to be playing at the Jets. So you can make call that a win, even though it's a division game. They're going to play the Jets backup QB, and that team that's reeling. So Miami could be 8-3. The Bills with the loss are 6-6. Is this a must win for Buffalo? We all in agreement that I'm saying yes, and everybody else agree.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
out on them though. Like this is just
yeah,
a terrible year for Josh Allen. There's just no roundabout way about it.
Yeah, just has not been going the right way for them at all. And look, this is why you win your games against like the Jets, like
yeah,
early in the season. This is why you take care of business against bad teams. Because when you run into, the Philadelphia Eagles on the road, you got to figure that out. You got to have these massive wins. So
yeah.
I'm out on them
Agreed.
overall.
Well, speaking on being out, I think folks are starting to check out of the Chargers camp. They host the Ravens.
Starting.
They already are out on them. The Chargers are host the Ravens on Sunday Night Football. Their over under is 46.5. The Ravens are favored by 4 points, even without Mark Andrews, who I believe is out for the year with his injury. If
Mark
I'm not
There's a
Andrews
window he
activated
might.
play
There's a
this
window
week.
he might come back, but he's
okay,
he's he's pretty hurt.
Horns
okay,
down.
so at least
Mark
he's
Andrews.
not. At least he's undergoing ankle surgery, and it looks like he will, or he's having ankle surgery, or has had it as we speak, and yeah, it looks like he'll be out for this game at least. But what's the offense going to look like? Because how much, um, we know how much Mark Andrews is relied upon in that offense. And now, speaking of receivers, like Lamar's going to have to rely on the running game, and then Zay Flowers and Odell, who is now the old Odell Beckham Jr. So, do you feel like even against this bad Chargers defense, the Ravens offense will be able to be effective with the lack of their biggest weapon in Mark Andrews?
I mean, it's obviously pretty hurts them pretty bad not having Andrews. I think Isaiah Likely's not an awful replacement. Um, so I'll put it this way: I think it hurts them a little bit, but overall, I don't think it's completely devastating. I don't think it takes the floor out from under them by any means.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, speaking of who's out, I'm out on the Chargers. I thought that first half, first few games of the season, their defense was good, but they have just fallen flat. The Lions giving that game up to the Packers, like, you give up to the game to the Packers. I don't think you're gonna, be sitting pretty with Lamar Jackson on the other side, and what he can bring to the table. So, Lamar's dynamic. He's gonna find a way to, to get points on the board even without Mark Andrews in that offense. So. I'm taking Baltimore clear here.
Real quick, Brandon Staley obviously has to go. That's been apparent for me for 2 years, but obviously it's becoming more obvious by the week. Who do we think is going to be the head coach next year in LA? Bobby has been advocating for Lincoln Riley for the past few weeks, but like low key with all these like reported suspensions happening for your coach in Ann Arbor, I feel like the Chargers might be an attractive job for Harbaugh next year. He's going to want to have a good quarterback. I feel like the Spanos family. I don't think Harbaugh is going to be worried about money. I feel like if the ownership of the Chargers can get out of their own way, Harbaugh can come in and make that team a contender instantly. The Chiefs are going to be good, but we don't know what that team may look like moving forward if they don't get receiving talent. And with Kelsey being a year older, the defense is going to be good. But, the Broncos and the Raiders are always going to be a mess. I feel like Harbaugh can come to the strip around pretty quickly with Herbert. But any other suggestions for head coach?
There's not a lot of people who are actually better at coaching football than James Joseph Harbaugh. But the NFC West has two, or AFC West has two head coaches who are better than him, and that's Andy Reid and Sean Payton. I'm not saying the projects are better, but Sean Payton's an amazing football coach. So I don't know if he wants to be the third best coach in the division, because in NFL you have to start with there's a lot of people who had James Franklin had a James Joseph Harbaugh 4 years ago. We saw how that looked. That's where I'm just at with. I don't. Also, do you want to move with your kids, and do you want to move your parents, bro? He lives across the street from his dad. We're human at the end of the day. Does he like? He wants to be appreciated and loved. Whether the Chargers willing to do that for him, yeah, for sure. But why do you want to lose Patrick Mahomes twice a year and potentially to the Broncos at minimum once?
Yeah. Harbaugh's always going to be like linked to some type of NFL rumor. This is no different than every single year he's been at Michigan since 2015. So yeah, do you want a guy to coach you that has really succeeded at high like levels in every level that he's coached? Sure, but I don't want him to go. But I think that Ben Johnson would end up being a really good fit for him. I don't want to lose Ben Johnson. I don't, but the way that man can call a game, he deserves to lead a team someday. So, maybe we win it this year and then he can do whatever after. But I wouldn't be surprised if he was getting calls around the league, and I think the Chargers would be a good spot for him.
I'll just say this: unless the Patriots fire Bill Belichick and Belichick decides to take the Chargers job, then any coach that's going to come in, is going to be the third best coach in the AFC West. There's not a lot of coaches better than Andy Reid and Sean Payton, except for Bill Belichick. And I think the Patriots, if they get a top 3 pick, and have the opportunity to take Drake May, Marvin Harrison, or Caleb Williams. Like they're gonna keep Bill for that rebuild with one of those three players. So it's gonna be a long shot. Bobby, you still on the Lincoln Riley train or
So that's now become unrealistic. I think on the other end. I mean, maybe as an offensive coordinator at this rate. So
Oh God.
look, USC, if they keep this up, we might have to start looking for OC jobs. So. But then again, look, hey, the NFL, had a team that hired Cliff Kingsbury right after he got fired at Texas Tech for being a little bit above 500. So you never know in this league. People do weird stuff.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, in terms of this game, me and ML are taking the Chargers. Bobby and Lexi have the Ravens. For me, I just think that even though the Chargers defense is terrible, Mark Andrews is a big part of what that offense does. I think the Chargers are going to just be able to focus on stopping the run. And by stopping the run, I mean Gus Edwards and not Lamar Jackson. Like Lamar Jackson is unstoppable. I feel like Mark Andrews makes them a little bit more dynamic in the passing game, and you're pretty much relying on, what used to be Odell Beckham Jr. and Zay Flowers. And I think the Chargers, with the situation they're in, and everything of that nature, I feel like they'll have what it takes in this moment in this game to beat the Ravens. But I'm not confident in it. But I think this is a win the Chargers can get.
Yeah, I think the Chargers have problems. Ravens get this one.
Yeah, I don't trust the Chargers enough, so give me Ravens all day.
You're on mute. No, I got you though. Go ahead. Go ahead.
How is this muting me? I'm so sorry, gentleman and young lady. If Brandon Staley loses this game, there's just no reason to come to work on Monday.
Yeah,
his passes should be revoked by end of day.
Yeah, for sure. I'm surprised he still is employed with the Chargers, but hey, yeah, you can't lose this game, especially.
I missed Bobby's back and forth there.
I said that key card ain't working.
Oh no,
just don't come to the facility. Yeah, it ain't on. It ain't on, man. You already know. It's LA. Save yourself the gas money.
All right. Well, we know that Lexi has a time limit here, so we're gonna do lock of the week before we do rapid fire real quick, just to make sure that she gets her pick in before she has to jump or whatever. But we might finish the show before she does, but we'll see. Let's do lock of the week real quick. So last week. So first of all, Lexi's been phenomenal this year. We all know that she is way ahead, 16 points in the lead. Had another great pick last week with Georgia minus 10.5. That was easy call. Easy 2 points for her. Bobby took the L with the Oregon State pick. Very confidently picked Oregon State, but Washington was able to pull through.
DJU went right back to the old head. Just when I knew, I thought he had changed, man.
Oh gosh, that wasn't a bad pick though. That was actually really good. That's probably like the biggest risk any of us have taken this year. Actually, not really, because Oregon State was favored and they were at home. But anyway,
there were three bad picks on Saturday, and they're all from DJU.
Yeah. All right, and then I had I took the 1-pointer for the week. Cowboys minus 10.5 because the Panthers. That was pretty much automatic. Give me that 1 point for the week. So Lexi is leading 16 points. I got 11. Bobby's got 9. And this week, I'm taking the Chargers Ravens over 46.5 is the same over under as the Michigan Ohio State game. The difference between the two is both Michigan and Ohio State play defense, so it kind of makes sense for that to be the over under. The Chargers, were just in a 40 game against the Lions last week. I think that over hits. This is going to be a game where a lot of points can be scored. Now, I don't know what the Ravens are going to be able to do without Mark Andrews, but I still feel they're going to be able to put points on the board. The Chargers seem to be able to score very well. The Ravens secondary is tough, so it might not be as easy, but I think the points are going to be on the board. I'm taking it over for Ravens and Chargers, and it might be the over might hit by half. Who knows? Lexi, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm taking Eagles at -3.5. I think that a lot more is going on than what's showing like in the record for the Bills. I think things kind of might be crumbling internally. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like we said, that dynamic offense. I think it's probably going to be a lot more than 3.5. It's probably going to be like at least a touchdown, maybe more. But I'm taking Eagles -3.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Ravens -4 here. I have like I just said, I have no confidence in the Chargers. I feel like even though you're missing Andrews, let's be honest, love you, Mark Andrews, Boomer Sooner, man, but he gets hurt a lot. They're used to life without Mark Andrews. It happens all the time, at least once a season. So I think they find a way to cover that up just fine. They'll be all right.
All right, and Mel, your pick won't count in the scoreboard, but do you have a lock just for fun? You're good. Yeah, you're not on mute. Go ahead. No, you're not.
No.
Okay, no pick. All right, cool. All good. All good. All right, cool. Let's do rapid fire real quick. We got a few more minutes. Um, Oregon stay at Oregon. Oregon's got to stay afloat to have a CFP bid. They host Oregon State, who again cost themselves a win with 3 turnovers by DJU. Uh, I think Oregon gets the dub pretty easily here. No sweat for me.
Yeah, how I saw them perform last weekend. I'm just like Oregon is on a mission at this point. They want to, win out, get to that championship to face Washington. So, give me Oregon.
Oregon's the same team outside of Corvallis, and Dan Lanning doesn't let up on teams like this. Oregon big.
ML
We're
Oregon
good,
Oregon State.
brother. Big Sink goes at quarterback for the other team. We know how that goes in big games. Just respectfully. And Dan Lanning, as he said, we're out here for wins. We out here for clicks.
Yeah.
They say Hollywood.
All right. Kentucky at Louisville. Louisville trying to avoid being upset so they can possibly sneak into the CFP with an ACC championship win, 1-loss win. They could be in the conversation, but they got to take care of business at home against Kentucky in their rivalry game. Pretty sure Jack Harlow might show up to the game. I know he's going to be at halftime at Detroit Green Bay, but he might sneak over to Louisville to support his Cardinals against the Wildcats. I'm taking Louisville. If they're on a roll, they know they got a mission in front of them. They're trying to sneak in to the CFP. I like the cards here.
Look, good for Louisville for replacing for having a better celebrity fan than Papa John. That's a great improvement over the last guy. So I got to say, wins over replacement, much 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 better there with Jack Harlow. But I'm going to go with Mark Stoops to get bowl eligible here on the road. So
Yeah, I like Louisville there. I think they're just gonna take what they can get at this point, get to the championship, and call it a day.
And Mel, it's on you, brother.
Louisville, man. Coach Brom's doing this thing over there. He's a damn good coach, too. We got to give him his respect.
what a great hire! What a great hire!
Yeah.
Fell into
In
it,
year
honestly.
one, year one, he has those guys flying. Very impressed.
Yeah. All right, UNC at NC State, both teams 8-3 rivalry game. This is the one where last year, I think it was this might have I forget. Never mind. This was a good game last year, but this is the one where Drake May was like, oh, only people go to NC State because they didn't get into UNC. Then they lose to UNC State at UNC last year, and now Drake May has to get his revenge in Raleigh, possibly the last game he'll ever play in a college uniform. We'll see about the bowl game. I'm taking my boys, man. I'm going with the Tar Heels. They should have beat Clemson if Marion Hampton holds onto the ball. We're up 21-0 in like the first quarter, but didn't go that way. But I'm taking UNC.
I forgot y'all are still playing football. NC State.
No, I know that UNC kind of fell short, but they're not going to fall short for me this week. So taking the Tar Heels.
Wolfpack, like Armstrong. Has he lost to y'all before?
Brennan Armstrong at Virginia, I think he did. Sam Howell's for second year.
Not since 10's been at quarterback though.
Yeah, well, we didn't play. You didn't play him last year. I don't think. I got to look that up.
2 years ago, I don't think y'all won either. But
Well,
I mean,
yeah, 10 wasn't quarterback 2 years ago, but
Right.
anyway, yeah.
What's going on with 10 though?
What do you mean?
You're not confident in right now. Are you confident about beating NC State? You're just picking them.
Yeah. NC State. Yeah, I mean, NC State always plays UNC tough. That's the thing. But I mean, I'm fine. I just feel like we lost. We had a missed opportunity with Clemson, losing that game. But I think Drake's going to show out. It's the last game they'll play. I think they're good. I feel good about it.
I think Doran and the defense wins.
Yeah.
I don't think I can stop anybody.
Yeah, I mean we can't. That's true. All right. Packers Lions Thanksgiving. Give me the Lions. Doing love sucks.
Next.
Lions on Thanksgiving.
One pride. My first Thanksgiving game ever. We're getting the dub. Nobody can tell me shit.
I think this will be the first Thanksgiving game y'all win in like a few years though. So
yeah, I know. We should have won last year against the Bills, but don't even get me started on what happened.
Any fear
Plus,
about
we spanked the Packers last time.
No Aaron Jones. No Aaron Jones for the Packers either. The Lions are better at every position. Every single one.
Yeah.
The Packers. Every single one.
Smackdown City.
Quick one, yes, no question. Anyone afraid of Dan Campbell going to A&M?
No.
Of course not.
Not right now.
Yeah.
They think
I think
they're
he
going
even said something. He's like, I want to do everything I can for them, but coach their football team.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's got it too good right now, and I think that he knows that, and he knows he's got the support and love that coaches never had from like the Fords, aka to Sheila Hamp at this point. So yeah. I wouldn't see it happening. But
shout out Mrs. Hamp and shout out to Mr. Holmes and Dan Campbell. In fact, I'd say they right now are looking top 5 in the entire NFL in terms of what I would call the backbone of the foundation of what you need.
The competence. We've never had competence in the front office like we do now. So it's just surreal.
Shout out to Jahmyr Gibbs.
Sorry, Max. I should have known better than to keep talking.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah,
we have a few more games. We have 3 more. Thanksgiving, Niners, Seahawks. I got the Niners. Seahawks are kind of on the downtrend. Geno was fool's goal last year. Nice story, but I think the Niners get this dub in Seattle.
Yeah, Seahawks are falling a little bit. I know that they're always our kryptonite, but Niners are kind of like on a tear right now. So give me them.
Niners.
Okay. Jags, Texans, Clemson, Ohio State rematch. Except Stroud was in the quarterback for that game, but getting MVP love here in Houston, coasting the Jags and Trevor Lawrence, who are a sneaky 7-3 team. I like Houston to upset the Jags here.
Yeah, CJ Stroud's been playing incredible, so I'm not going to bet against him at this point. He's just been going off. Give me Houston.
My wife's from Houston, and there's no way in hell if they show up on this slate, I'm not picking against them. So CJ Stroud and the Texans get the win here at home.
They've already beat them already. They beat them in Jacksonville, and actually wasn't close at all. The Jags are going to pull this out, and it's just I'm nervous about Houston's defense. Kyler Murray did a really, really good job last week. Shout out Kyler Murray to you, Bobby, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Glad he's back.
Good to have him back.
Yeah. Kyler was getting too disrespected. I'm happy he's back, too.
Who'd you go with, Matt?
So much disrespect.
I said Texans. I like Houston.
Ow! Lone Wolf. Go Jags.
All right. Browns, Broncos. Not like a fun one, but like still kind of impactful with the AFC playoff race. Russell Wilson finding his groove back. Hashtag Sierra's husband versus DTR and Myles Garrett, who is getting MVP arguments from Mina Kimes, which I respect. I think Garrett should definitely be in the conversation because he's carrying that team on his back. I like the Browns. Defense is phenomenal. That defense will travel. Sean Payton is doing a great coaching job, but I like them to give Russell Wilson some fits and win that game.
I'm gonna go with,
Go ahead, Bobby.
you got it. I was just gonna say I'm gonna go with the Broncos at home, at Mile High. I don't know. I feel like they kind of have things humming when they're at home, at altitude, whatever. DTR, great win at home, but a little bit different now.
Yeah, they like weirdly got super good. Where I'm like, oh shit, we faced them in December now, but no, and they're at home. Like Bobby said, they've been really hitting it there. So Browns have also like had this nice little streak, but I do think that ends this weekend. Give me the Broncos.
Broncos need this win because they have, after this, Texans away, Chargers away, Lions away. Oof, that's tough. You got to get a dub if you're going to have a chance to make the AFC playoffs. Broncos.
Yeah. All right. Well, folks, thanks for tuning in. We got some big games ahead of us this weekend. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. We'll see you next week right here. ML, thanks for joining us, brother.
Thanks,
It's a
Emma. It was good
pleasure.
seeing you.
Good to see you, Michael.
Hi, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Thank you for all that you guys
Yes,
do
you
for
too.
Farm MG, but most importantly, thank you for y'all's friendship. God bless.
We'll see you.